thing it
That's a new
didn't catch on
dishwasher too,
fire.
isn't it? Ooh.
Zoom.
So do you have like a sore neck from going like this?
Yes.
Because
Because
Mr. Pat said,
Pat said,
he said,
Oh, I
if
think
you,
your car.
Pat was
Yes.
trying to be funny, I noticed that nobody laughed.
did you have a good time?
Oh, yeah.
He said when he comes back, if his head keeps going like that.
yeah, if he's looking back and keeps going like this. Yeah, it was kind of dorky, but,
Oh, that's fine.
but as Mr. Pat, he is kind of dorky.
They,
Everybody like the lions on Sunday?
I would have, like you mentioned something about the tower, I was gonna tell him, Indianapolis retirement was a crowd. He missed the crowd. and then
Really? Oh.
We went, well, they had carriage.
Did you see-
They ran over it.
Did you see the train coming from Mexico?
Over the wheel, ran in here. and
All
hit
the
car.
like cars.
Fortunately, hit a car.
Oh, they would have had
Killed
illegals
somebody.
Yes.
cheering, all men
Oh, my
and women
goodness,
from
I was
Venezuela.
like, he said, "No, it wasn't." I said,
Literally.
"No, no tire burn."
Oh, my God, that's like a whole
But that is a, it is a risk, though.
Yeah, you know, or any car parts, if they
Oh.
crash, something comes flying, yeah.
So I almost got my pine tree clipped up.
That's what probably brought it.
Well,
Smelling that.
let's see, she asked me yesterday, Chuck asked me today, we talked about it in the car, so I think this week's questions are tricky, are kinda,
Thought-provoking.
that's what I was gonna say.
I got a
little,
little last week.
I wasn't quite sure how to answer one of them, so I just kinda like made it very simple and very.
But see, that's
little.
because you,
Solve the flower problem.
you have so much like history in the back and you go back and understand things, not so much on the surface. I don't know.
Put it inside the
Lot
base,
of-
oh, the flower underneath it, that way, and
I,
then.
I get an answer, but I think it's too
easy.
easy or it's not right.
Except I don't have any plastic.
Yeah,
I
well,
put that box over there.
I'll help everybody out.
Start taking. Okay, thank you.
And a V on it.
I was just going to interject real quick. There was a question that Chloe did. I think it was the fourth thought question. She's like, I hope I don't get that question. I hope I don't.
That was the one I asked her about.
And
That was last week?
I said, no, today.
Oh,
And then I said, I hope she gets that.
And I
So the fourth one?
Yeah.
that my name will be called for that one. That was the
Well,
one I said, well,
I said I was going to talk. I said I was going to talk with Rachel and fix it where Chloe gets to answer that.
Aw, don't forget.
On the second, on the thought questions? On the thought questions?
The biblical definitions I don't like because I must look through 4 or 5 different dictionaries and none of them have these words in them. I have to see on like the computer to use the Blue Letter Bible because on my phone, the app does not have a dictionary.
It does. Do you have Addison's?
How do I use it then?
No, but
Because I was trying to
that's what
figure
I
that out
used.
too,
I
because when
went
you
to
go to
Blue
Blue
Letter
Letter
Bible.
Bible,
Oh boy, what's
and
And
when
I-
you like click on say
there's
like
several
this
different
verse, it
dictionaries.
opens this, but when you look at the like the dictionary part, I don't understand where you're supposed to go from.
I went between dictionary and lexicon.
I don't know her password.
I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, no, Richard didn't show. I don't know.
Does somebody have the blue letter?
Oh, there she is, okay.
Okay.
Did you get it in time?
Yeah, if you click on verse. Okay,
So
so,
there you go.
yeah, and then when you go to dictionaries, it brings up like all these.
Maybe check to make sure which one's more readable. Probably that one, that's what that
All right, and I don't have my glasses, so I hope you don't ask me nothing. I have them
No,
here.
I don't usually have one.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out.
Pass those to your mom.
Get her in here, then this shows you the.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
what do I do?
she wants, see which one's
But,
better for her.
so this will show you how it's used in the Bible.
See which one's better for you?
Oh, I have those blue ones.
Okay.
That works?
Yeah, I can see, so I can use these.
Cause the thing,
Thank
when I
you.
looked up like the
You're
first
welcome.
ones, I figured, oh, you know what, let me try using this one, because
Yeah,
I
somebody
use
brought
these
coffee.
one.
This one
I went
here
with
is
this
Walmart.
But, cause I
Robert's your uncle?
It's,
Hey.
Roberta.
Roberta?
Roberto.
I mean, I knew what it was.
Roberto.
Finding it.
Bernadette. I like that one, Bernadette. That was really funny.
Remember when we would be.
Found it in the Blue Letter Bible.
Okay. Because that's where I found it, but it was like the definition was like,
I think I had to look in the lexicon first.
yeah, that's where I,
Always is Susan.
No,
No.
and that's.
that was where I had to look to. Okay, good. Because I was like, why is this one so hard? Like,
Alright, so let's.
You know, it's funny because Brian said, did you get that defined and what did you put?
Which one? Oh, we'll talk about it. I think that's really interesting.
well,
All right.
I kind of already knew the definition that
Yeah.
the lexicon gave, but
Yeah.
I was like, why is it so hard to find? I thought it would be easier.
Yeah,
I struggled
thought it
with,
was-
well, the offering, but I mean, it wasn't really
all
the
right.
definition of offering, but I was digging deeper and
Yeah.
it wasn't telling me what grain offerings were.
All right, so we're just gonna jump right in. Not much of a review. This class is a little bit different than the previous class. Yeah, so the book of Genesis, it's the book of beginnings, and we're still at the beginning, right? So,
About a lot
Genesis,
going on.
well, in chapters 1 and 2, a lot did. God created everything. So, so let's just jump right on in. Genesis chapters 3 and 4. We've already been having some discussion about some challenges that we have. Probably the easiest section out of this whole sheet is the very first section, right? The fill in the blanks.
Questions, I know I got that right.
Wrote a lot more this time.
Well, unless you use a different translation.
Well, yeah, because like King James, like I forgot that I had been studying in the King James earlier in the week, and like when I went to go do the questions, I was like, oh,
That's funny.
so yeah,
So Addison, did you say the ESV is a little bit different?
it is a lot different on
yeah.
that. So 'cause I actually went out and saw the King James, I was like, what did this?
That's funny. That's funny. So in case you're watching this online, the fill in the blanks are based on New King James Version.
Well, thanks for starting this week because we can all start off confident.
Start off strong, right? But you start strong, you got in strong.
Ah,
Chloe, just so everybody knows, Chloe gets question 4 on the thought questions and answers. It's an automatic. Just kidding.
Chloe, I had the same problem.
I had the
so
same
don't feel so
problem.
bad.
Well, this will be fun. We can help each other out. All right, do you guys have the wheel ready to go? All right. Whoa, sorry about hitting the podium there. All right, so if you want to spin the wheel, we'll get to see who does the first fill in the blank. All right, Catherine.
Oh, okay.
Genesis,
So, easy one.
yeah, Genesis 3:1.
Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made, and he said to the woman, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
All right.
Indeed.
Indeed is the word. Anybody get that wrong?
Addison.
Threw 1 minute into class and threw her under the bus. You did, and it was pretty loud.
Mom ran that bus over and backed it up and ran it over again.
That is not on the internet.
That
I
was
guess I didn't switch to the new King
that,
James.
that was about as bad as Aaron Rodgers in his opening game. Anyway, he made it a little longer, actually. What, Addison? The ESV says what word?
Actually,
Has God actually said?
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
it
Interesting.
probably makes better sense. Has God indeed said? Has God actually said?
Interesting. That's fun. Now, one of the wheel spinners just injured herself, so this is like the NFL. This is yeah. How about the backup wheel spinner? Can you be spinning the wheel?
I don't know. Some of us in this room aren't doing so good with backups. So.
That would be
Or
me.
starters.
That's me and you.
Wow.
We're struggling with that.
All right. Who gets this one? Fill in the blank. No, I think it's right. Who? Okay, all right, Vera, you get Genesis 3:15.
And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel.
All right. Addison, did you get that? Sorry.
She's got it all from here on out.
I couldn't help it.
Don't need to be angry at us alone. Shame on you.
It's all a good humor.
You pick on her all
These
day.
are
I don't
old
like that.
parents.
No, this is why I'm picking on her now.
I think it started with my dad. He said, you know we love you if we pick on you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the
You're
truth.
not
Anita, trust me, she'll talk with me later. All right, I think everybody got that. Very good, good job. I feel like maybe next week I need to elaborate a little bit more on these verses. Like maybe we could be thinking, why are these verses key verses? But we do have a lot more material to go through. Hey, Chloe,
Someone's watching a movie.
don't get distracted. Let's spin the wheel. Yeah. All right, spin the wheel and we'll see who gets the. Did you spin the wheel? Oh, it landed on Chloe. Oh, okay. Okay, Chloe. Well, Genesis 3:21. She's double checking her work. She don't want to get picked on. What's Genesis 3:21 say?
Also for Adam and his wife, the Lord God made tunics of skin and clothed them.
All right, excellent. Everybody got that? Okay.
Yep.
I wasn't going to say anything. All right, very good. So he made tunics of skin. Most people take that to mean that was the first human or animal sacrifice. Animal sacrifice. Sorry. All right, just spin the wheel. Let's help me out.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Who? Addison. All right, Addison. Genesis 4, 6, and 7. And I forgot to do a blank on verse 7. So it's, all right, so take it away.
So the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry, and why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it."
All right, very good. So,
And now the rest of you can be envious that you didn't get one of those easy questions.
I'm glad I didn't get one of those.
Believe me, I know.
When you call my name, Vera's gonna do the.
Vera, you'll be impressed.
Vera's gonna do it for you?
Information I got
Okay.
in here, though.
let's,
Vera, you'll be impressed at how much information I got.
Some of us got called more than once.
Did you hear that?
yeah, yeah.
Last week that's what we did.
Or we could just take your name off, Anita.
So then I'll be trying to.
Hey, wheel spinners, can you take your grandma's name off of there, if her name's on there? If your grandma's name's on there, you can take her name off. Because she gets a pass, she was sick, and
She didn't even
yeah,
have a page,
I heard about that. I
Yeah,
heard.
we heard all about it.
Okay. Well, you two can hear it too. I didn't give my mom her homework page like I was supposed to.
I don't know if I would've got it all done anyway. I'm not all.
No,
Yeah, I totally get it.
Being stuffy kind of makes you kind of, no.
Yeah. And these questions and
Yeah, some of
you know,
them get a little bit complicated.
yeah, and it's something you can't just quick rush through. You might need some time to digest. All right, so that was the key verses. We're gonna get into terms to define. One would think that would be relatively easy, but it's not always easy to define these terms. So we'll have fun discussing
Harder
it.
than last week's.
Yeah, well,
Well,
you're
now that I know how to use one of my apps,
yeah,
it'll be like-
it might help
moving
you.
forward.
Yeah. But you're welcome for the more difficult words. It's I don't know, to help us think. All right, so spin the wheel. Let's. Whoa, what is going on over there?
Next.
My goodness.
You're gonna injure yourself every 3 minutes through the entirety of class? She's trying to get out of
If-
questions too.
If only the camera could see what I see. All right, Vera, you get to define for us the word cunning.
Okay. It comes from the word aram, and it is crafty, prudent, subtlety, and shrewd.
All right. Anybody got anything different? Is it, okay, what'd you get?
It's a primitive root to plate or interpenetrate, that is literally to weave or generally to fabricate, figuratively to plot or contrive, usually in a malicious intent.
Wow,
Where'd
that
you
is,
get that from?
yeah, what,
Esword.
nice, okay,
Wise and skillful, and that it's only found in the Old Testament.
okay.
Craftiness, all working, unscrupulous.
I got sly.
See, I said you're
Sly.
really little,
Yeah.
you'd be oppressed.
Yeah. All right, very good. Everybody got Laura's answer? No.
Repeat that very slowly.
Yeah. Kind of lost me at the beginning. Funny. So I think if you looked at like the enhanced Strong's definition, it says for the word cunning, it means cunning. I thought that was funny. And then it goes on to say crafty, prudent, subtle, sly, shrewd.
And it's
Yeah.
gonna be a theme with all of these, that
Yeah.
you find them with the word,
Yeah,
like,
it's, you can't do that. Can't do that.
Well, I think Hayden's better.
Well, you can really do anything you want. Now, should you? No, it's a,
Wasn't that
You-
the joke though before with Hayden? Yeah.
yeah. All right. I think we all pretty well understand what cunning means.
I did, I
You can be
didn't write it down, but in reading, Laura said it's negative, but it said it could be used positively too. But mostly it said negative, but
Yeah, so there's different words like that. You think about them in the New Testament, like zealous could be used in a negative kind of sense.
When I watched an episode of the A-Team, and they were cunning as they were trying to defeat the mean soda factory people.
Okay,
Had to be there.
okay. Missed that episode. But we do love it when a plan comes together. All right, so if, so if you want to, did somebody just say that over there while I was saying it?
No, I was going
No,
to.
okay. All right, did you spin the wheel? All right, Laura Hopcroft, you get the word pleasant.
Yeah, well, I just put nice and kind.
Nice and kind? All right, anybody have anything different?
longing, a delight, something that's desirable.
Okay,
It comes from ta'awa.
okay. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the Hebrew words, because I think the Jewish language is like they say it's guttural, and you gotta get your ugula into it, and I don't want to injure myself. Like some other people, we don't need another injury tonight.
Don't try it, Rachel. I really am.
So in the marginal footnotes of the online Bible, well, not online Bible, but the Olive Tree Bible that I use, it says literally a desirable thing. So that was an interesting way to put that in there.
Delectable from the word that I've had.
Delectable, that's a, yeah.
And Esword put, to delight in, beauty, greatly beloved, covet, delectable thing, delight, desire, goodly, lust, be pleasant.
Yeah, something you,
I read the same, but I left some of those out.
I got it.
Well, in verse 6 on 3, it says, thank you. So when the woman saw the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to her.
yeah, it was pleasant to her. She longed for it. It looked delectable.
Desirable.
Yeah. She thought it would satisfy, but we learned differently. All right. I'm excited to see who gets to answer this next one.
No, not me.
Wait, you were excited. You were excited for this. You were excited for this word last week.
I wanted this
Yeah.
word.
So, Laura,
I
you
had
got.
a hard time trying to find anything, how to define this.
So this is the word cherubim. In
But what
case
I
you're.
did find was plural of Hebrew origin cherubs, imaginary figure.
Okay.
Is that?
How
Is
I've
that?
always,
That was all I could find.
Okay.
learned about them was the one definition that I got that was not that. That was what I got originally, but it was winged bull.
What was
Okay.
it?
Winged bull.
Huh. I didn't see that.
Multiple heads or faces
I
with
didn't-
different animals.
Yeah,
And I said the heavenly being like with wings.
Yeah, and when I didn't get the imaginary thing, I read a description of them, and it's like all the descriptions descriptions in the Bible, and I'm like, well, that's not defining them though.
Right.
That's just
Doesn't a little
describing
baby,
them.
like a cute little baby cherub.
Yeah, if you Google it, see, this is where Google will fail you. You'll Google it and you'll see that little cherub, cute little baby with the little wings.
Well, I have the wings that are guarding the gates.
Yep. So it's a,
That's all
it's,
the Eastwood
They're garbage.
days, and that whole thing was just that one little.
well, I thought it was interesting, some of the definitions I saw, it just said plural of cherub.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's not,
Main definition
that's
of
not
it.
helpful. So you gotta define cherub.
And then when you try to
And-
do that, it was like,
Well, the best I could come up with was it's a heavenly creature with a mashup of other creatures. That was just kind of a simplified thing. Did anybody jot down any Bible references that describe a cherub? The cherubim?
No, but I,
Okay, real quick, Addison's got her hand up.
Exodus 25:20, but all it says is that they have wings.
Okay, so that would be they sat on top of the Ark of Covenant, yeah.
Ezekiel 10.
Ezekiel 10 verses 5 through Ezekiel 10 really, and then verse 5 through 14 it begins to describe all the. It's got multiple heads.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had like a human head, you had a head of a think of a, and a lion was part of it.
yeah, Rebecca has a picture of like what an actual depiction would be instead of that.
Yeah, it's not a. Read Ezekiel 10. Ezekiel 10.
What verses?
You could start at verse 1 and go at least through verse 14. But I put down in my notes 5 through 14 because it really gets into that description. I believe it had, I think it's in there, it talks about having hands like a human, as a human. So it is not the baby. Okay, it is not a baby with wings.
No,
That's-
this one is, it looks like a man with the legs of a goat. And then I see a lion and an eagle and I see horns and it's got wings that are wrapping its body and wings for flying.
Does anybody know how big they are? There's a Bible reference that talks about their size. Yeah, 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 24 through 26.
24 through 26.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody want to read that? You can turn over there and read that for us. 1 Kings 6, verses 24 through 26.
I can't help it.
You said 24? Okay.
Yeah, 24 through 26.
One wing of the cherub was 5 cubits, and the other wing of the cherub 5 cubits. 10 cubits from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other. And the other cherub was 10 cubits. Both cherubim were of the same size and shape. The height of one cherub was 10 cubits, and so was the other cherub.
Okay, 10 cubits. That's 15 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, they're
15 feet tall?
things.
No, they're not the cute little babies. Newborn babies with wings.
Well, and
No.
here's my thing is like their very first time that we're talking about them, they're holding flaming swords.
Yes.
So you're not gonna get
Yes.
a cute little tiny chubby baby
No.
thing
No.
to hold big flaming swords and guard a gate like they
Yeah.
were supposed to guard the garden.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but if I walked up on the garden and a cute little baby thing was the only thing keeping me out, and I knew I wanted to be in there, I don't know. Chances are that
You would try
scare
to,
me.
right? Yep. So, very interesting heavenly creatures. All right. That was a fun discussion. Let's spin the wheel. Don't injure your hand. Don't. Each one. Did you say each one had 4 faces? Yeah.
So can I say the definition that I found?
Yeah, sure. Go for it. They're just.
A composite creature
Yep.
form. Man, lion, ox, and eagle. And they're thought to have 4 faces, but I mean, I read it right there in Ezekiel. That represent intelligence, like man, is intelligence, wisdom. So man, but they also have the hands of man. The strength is from the ox. Kingly authority is the lion, and swiftness and strength, no, swiftness and farsighted, and I can't read my writing.
So I would like to interject here, you know, like Ezekiel in this description, it's trying to put in human terms, heavenly creature.
And that's the thing,
So
we
that's,
really don't know for sure what they look like.
no,
It's just trying to
but
give
that's
some
an
understanding.
understanding that it's not a baby. It's never described, right, as a
Right.
cute
It's kind of
little.
like how we try to put human characteristics on God so that we can
Yeah.
kind of understand that He
Right.
is a presence
So
in our
verse
life.
12,
Right.
and their whole body with their back, their hands, their wings, and their wheels, and all four head were full of eyes all
Full of
around.
eyes,
Mm.
yes.
Ooh,
The whole
creepy.
body had eyes.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
And I was seeing this nice picture of wings guarding the gates.
no, not like that. So that would explain, like, you know, a lot of times when somebody saw something like this, they were terrified. They thought they were gonna die.
Terrified, not like in shock. They were
Yeah.
terrified.
Yeah,
Oh, these
Like-
are four faces, the face of a man, the third is the face of a lion, the fourth is the face of an eagle. So, man, lion. eagle.
and lots of eyes. All right, so, interesting. We're gonna move on to offering. Who does that go to? All right, Rachel.
To give
To-
something,
To give something, okay, so if you give something, what are you giving? All right, so a gift, that's the way I defined it, a gift offered to, in this case would be to divinity, to God. Anybody got anything extra?
It's from the root words that mean apportion and bestow, and so it most accurately means tribute.
Tribute, okay.
I kept seeing sacrifice.
Yeah, so like Gesenius, I believe on the Blue Letter Bible included sacrifice. Something that I did want to interject in here, one person said that this particular Hebrew term wasn't necessarily for a blood offering or a blood sacrifice. So, but it could include that, but it didn't necessarily mean a blood sacrifice. It was just a gift offered to God. All right. Let's see, if we spin the wheel.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that, like, when I think of like sacrifice, I think more like people think of it out of obligation versus offering is like a free will thing. So I think there's kind of that distinction
Yeah.
there. So it's like it's more they were willing to do this instead of it was a sacrifice that they had to do.
It's good.
And
That's a
now
good point.
Done it in the
Yeah.
right way, but
Yeah, right, yeah. All right,
Granny.
all right, Granny, you get the word vagabond.
One who wanders from place to place.
All right, that's a great definition. Anybody got anything different or extra? This was an interesting word.
Figuratively, to wander, flee, disappear.
Yeah,
That's
this
what it says, strolling, no real hurry.
strolling, no real hurry.
someone
This,
who roams the land.
someone who
it
roams.
also included this idea that they were like disturbed or
Fugitive.
grieving while they
I
were
kept
doing
saying
this.
fugitive. was-
Yeah.
Fugitive was connected with that. Interesting word because there's a lot of definitions. Flee, disappear. I also saw in Strong's it said from the shaking of the head, whether it be sympathetically or taunting. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, I'm sure this Hebrew word was used in that to describe it. But if you shake your head's kind of wandering, isn't it? It's kind of wandering back and forth. So.
I know this is gonna come up later, but I don't wanna really answer the question, but, it comes from the root word that's nude, which actually, the word is nude, but it actually comes from the, root word that is not, which I thought was interesting for that question.
Yeah,
Come up
and
a little bit.
yeah, I saw that as well, and I was like, yeah.
Like, what kind of coincidence, like, was that, like, he named it, or what happened there, cause it never says that, but.
Yep, that's coming up in this next section, actually. All right, so very good. So those are some key terms to define. There's probably a ton more key terms we could think of in there. But let's move into this next section, the questions from the text. This was Chloe's favorite. I don't know, I just made that up. Chloe, you wanna spin the wheel? Oh, Rachel again? All right, Rachel, question number 1. What was the immediate effect after the first sin? Okay, and then did they do anything to try to remedy that, to fix that?
I believe they sewed leaves together to make coverings for themselves.
All right, so they tried to cover up themselves.
They were afraid and hid from God.
And and then they were afraid and hid from God. All right, so
Guilt.
guilt, okay, that would be the immediate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
guilt.
I mean, it was,
Actually,
They felt guilty, they tried hiding their nakedness, they hid from God, they heard God walking, I mean, this is.
but at first it says their eyes were opened. So in order to get that guilt, their eyes had to be opened to that guilt. Anyway, but yeah, but guilt would certainly be one of the immediate effects. All right, everybody agree with that?
I agree with it, but that's not how I read the question.
Uh-oh, how did you read the question?
Well, what was the immediate effect after the first sin? The first sin. I put man began to die rather than living forever in the garden.
Yeah, but that wasn't the immediate. Immediate is immediately, right away. Yeah.
I'm glad Rachel got
But I could see how you would say that, though. Yeah.
punishment was laid out for them, but that is
What?
true, that was later. in the
Yeah,
process.
I mean, immediately it dawned on them they did something wrong, and then they tried to guilt and tried to correct
well,
it.
for Catherine, immediately,
Yes.
when I read that question, I thought of that and didn't see the word immediate. And then
Well,
I had to
and
like go back and was like, oh, wait, that's
Yeah,
it.
and then I guess it was, okay, whatever.
So I was-
It's all good.
I was with you and Addison
It's
on
all
that one,
good.
personally.
I wrote it all out, and then I was like, oh, that's what question 2 is.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, so question 2. Whoever gets question 2, you actually get 3 questions.
Yeah.
Sorry, so spin the wheel. I'm excited to see who this lands on. Granny! Sorry, Granny. Wow.
You can phone a friend, you can phone a
3. So I'll read the question. What curses did God pronounce upon? First of all is the serpent. So what curse did
Well, he was cursed more than cattle, and you crawl off the belly to eat dust.
All right, so very good. He's going to eat the dust. And that's from verse 15, right? So in that section there, that would be the first occurrence of, people call it the proto-evangelium or proto-evangelium, being the first gospel message, I guess you would say, the Messiah conquering Satan and sin. So. All right, so that's the first one. That's the curse upon the serpent. How about the curse upon the woman? That's verse 16.
Sorrow and pain, childbirth.
Okay. And so I think that's interesting. It says it's going to multiply.
So it was already there.
Yeah, so I thought I always thought, oh, you know, it was because of Eve and there's pain in childbearing. But it seemed like there was always going to be some
It's kind
discomfort,
of
but
like
it's
how
going
they
to
were
be,
always meant to tend the ground, but it's,
Yeah.
it's about to get harder.
yeah, so
You're
childbirth,
thorns and weeds.
yeah, so childbirth was going to get much more difficult. Addison, were you going to say something?
And there would be a power struggle between
Yeah.
her and the husband and wife.
Yes.
She would desire his role and he'll rule over her.
Okay, somebody help me out. I can't do it because I have YouTube streaming here. But could somebody read Genesis 3 verse 16 from the New Living Translation? So you may have to pull it up on your Bible app. So I don't know of anybody in here that uses the New Living Translation. It also has it kind of rendered the same way in the New English Translation. I just want you to be aware of that there is some discussion in the religious world. There must be some sort of textual variant or however you're going to translate some of these words. Yeah, so Catherine, do you have the?
16, you
Yeah,
said?
yeah.
Then he said to the woman, I will sharpen the pain of your pregnancy, and in pain you will give birth, and you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you.
So,
Wow.
so that's a pretty interesting variant there in the readings.
That's where the nagging wives came from.
And we're moving along quickly. Mom, back to you. So we have the curse to the serpent, curse to the woman. Hey, man's going to be cursed too, right? So what's the curse to the man?
Woe to Eve, thorns and thistles shall you eat the herb of the field, sweat of your face and bread dust you are, to dust you shall return.
All right, Very good. So it was going to be hard, laborious work to work the land. Before he's in the garden, right? You think about the garden, everything would be perfect. Probably had a nice garden soil. Now he's kicked out, and now he's dealing with rocky soil and thorny soil, and just not a good situation. All right, very good. Well, we can turn over to the back side of the sheet here.
Oh boy.
We got some discussion going on, breaking out between a couple of ladies. Are you guys okay? No?
I
Oh,
was
okay.
sharing with her what I shared with you earlier.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, we'll move on. We'll spin the wheel. Okay, Addison, I hate to break up there. It is Addison's turn to take question number 3. What was the final result of their sin?
I said, God sent Adam and Eve out of the garden, away from the tree of life. They would now age and die in time.
Okay, very good. Anybody got anything different?
Till the ground.
Okay, so you did? Okay, go ahead.
I said 7 through 19 consequences. Verse 10, there's fear. Verse 16, sorrow. 17, toil. 18, thorns and thistles, and 19, death. And 22 through 24, exclusion. Sent out of the Eden.
Okay, so it wasn't like God just said, okay, let's move along. He said he drove them out. I mean, if you're driving something, well, no, yeah, so, I mean, it would be,
But I put that they became like God, because it says they're not like us and they know, only in the aspect of that they know good and evil.
good and evil. Okay, that's
So they know they did bad.
a good thing to include in there. When they were separated, or when they were drove out of the garden, what did they lose access to?
God.
Well, God, they had a different relationship now.
Yeah,
They had to grow their own food.
Well, they were
Tree of life.
from the tree of life.
In addition
and
to
that's-
the cherubim, the flaming sword guarded the,
Yeah, so
Tree.
so you had all that guarding that.
so even if they got past the cherubim, they couldn't get to the tree.
Pretty interesting if you just let your mind
Yeah.
ponder all that, like just what was it like them being driven out of the garden from God, and then being thrown out, and then scolded, and then the cherubim and the flaming sword and all that, just and the emotions that they must have had.
Because we already know they were feeling some guilt, because they were like, oh, we're naked, this is not good, so they knew they had done wrong right away, so they already had that guilt, and then to know that, oh no, like now we're gonna have to really struggle in life, and we're separated from God, and we're eventually gonna die, and we could have avoided all of this.
Probably felt very
It
alone,
was,
and a lot of remorse, and
I would think that after they got out of the garden, though, Eve would have like socked Adam in the eye for him just saying, well, she made me do it.
But she did the same thing. She said the serpent made me do it.
And serpent would do it, yeah.
So,
no socking.
I would like to have heard that conversation. You did, well, don't do, you told me. Look what you made him do.
All right, Clay.
apparently they forgave each other, because they did have some children.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Just imagine the conversations they had. All right, Chloe, you want to be spinning the wheel, and we can see who gets question number 4. All right, Jody. Question 4. What were Cain and Abel's occupations?
Cain was a tiller of the ground, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep.
All right, very good. Anybody got anything different? All right. Everybody agree with that? Do you have a verse reference for that, by the way?
Nope.
No. All right. Just checking. It's chapter,
Ask for
cha-
reference.
chapter 4, verse 2.
If you
It's
want
verse
a,
2.
if you want a verse reference, ask for it.
I just asked just now.
But I do,
In the
number
question.
5. I wrote one down for number 5.
Oh, see, that's funny. That's
Just
funny.
not 4.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't write one for either of those. Well, 3 already had it in there. So. That's right, chapter 4, verse 2. Good job. Good job. All right. Chloe, you can be spinning the wheel. Get to find out where Cain had some problems, right? And Cain had to flee. He had to leave. Chuck. So when by problems, I mean Cain killed somebody, right? There was the beginning of the first murder. So right, who did Cain kill? Abel. All right. So then, where did Cain dwell?
Land of Nod, east of Eden.
All right. Very good. So
I
in
don't
my,
have a verse.
you don't have a verse. I don't either.
16.
Verse 16.
I didn't write that one down
I-
for some
I
reason.
imagine he also dwelled with his wife. His
Okay.
wife went with him.
So I put a little dash here on my note and said the word nod goes back to that word vagabond, because that's the word vagabond, and it literally means wandering. So Cain was out there wandering, and he dwelt in this land of wandering. Which direction was it of Eden, Chuck? Did you say? East of Eden. All right, east of Eden. All right, very good. So Jody, you interjected in there. He was out there with his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder where his wife came from. Right. That's
Karens.
yeah. So I know that's I didn't even put that in the thought questions because
It's interesting, he says, don't send me away because people out there are gonna kill me. But that would mean that there are people out there who left already.
It
So
would have been
I'm wondering
siblings that.
why-
So Bible didn't
But then I
tell us
thought,
everybody. Well,
maybe this was just
yeah.
an excuse to try to get God to change his mind. I don't know, I thought that was kinda.
well, and he would be out there, and eventually there'd be other people out there, and he didn't want to be. And then people lived a long time, so you'd have people out there, and then they would live 1,000 years, or whatever, give or take a few hundred,
Brothers and sisters who are already,
or later descendants.
so why would he just assume they're gonna kill him?
Because what I'm saying is, wow, this is gonna be rough. Genealogy. You got this guy here, and you got other people here. I'm not gonna explain it if you're not gonna listen. So you got him, right, and you have these other descendants, and if they live like 800 years, and then they're all having kids and all this, and they're all scattered, and they're having kids.
We
You
don't know
could,
how old he was.
yeah, you're not gonna. You don't know who down the line's not gonna know him. They're not gonna know who he is. It's not like they had Instagram
Yeah, that's. I
or
guess that's
Facebook.
why
Cousin
he
twice
just
removed.
Yeah, they,
Oh, okay.
wow.
So you're.
So it is worded a little weird, but there would be people whether it be now or eventually, there would be people that,
imply there's already brothers and sisters out there, so.
well, it could have been.
I think we only see a little tiny snippet.
But we know
Yeah,
there
we
can't
are.
be other brothers out there yet.
Well,
But there might be sisters at this
yeah.
point.
So maybe we'll,
It doesn't.
Did you see what I said?
I'm enjoying this study because it's making me think.
But did you see how I described how you would have people eventually that would be all over, and then, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know when they necessarily started keeping track of genealogies back then. All right, anyway, so that's funny. That question morphed into a thought question, and this is supposed to just be from the text. Come on, this was supposed to be an easy question.
Well, I was just gonna say
Nod.
that I think maybe he got that ideal because not only was he gonna be a vagabond, and we probably should have defined this too, but he was gonna be a fugitive. So
fugitive.
he was gonna be known, and then he wasn't gonna be able to have, fruit from the ground. It wasn't gonna yield to him anymore. So now he's gotta find other occupations and things, which may cause issues later
I
on.
have to explain why.
And
So
here's another thing. How does he know that there's not other people out there?
That
This
is
is
true.
one of the topics that the heathens would use to trip up Christians.
Yeah.
We just go by what the Bible says. All right.
Spinning wheel.
Yeah, spin the wheel, and then let's move into the thought questions, even though we're
We've had a couple
thinking.
of those already.
Yeah. Bonus Mom,
I have what?
you have thought question number 1.
Okay.
I thought this was kind of an interesting question, considering we talked about this from Glenn's class a couple weeks ago. But question 1, what is sin?
So I said missing the mark, transgression of the law, I mean, that's what we all know, but it's doing opposite of what you are supposed to do and placing a gap between yourself and God.
Okay, so missing the mark. I think we use that a lot. I think that would be mainly from a Greek word. So how about the Hebrew? Because the Old Testament's not.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is interesting. The Hebrew word means to fail or to miss the goal. So it's the same basic definition. But it would depend on the context because, well, somebody turn over and since we just finished this book, Judges, the book of Judges, turn over and read Judges 20 and verse 16 for us.
Oh, yeah, turn right to it.
Among all this people were 700 select men who were left-handed. Every one could sling a stone at a hair's breadth and not miss.
That word miss
It's sin.
is the word sin. So it's using it in the, well, they were left-handed slingshotter people. But there's an example of the striving to not miss their goal, their intended goal. So we think about this word, it means failure to honor and obey God. Right? It would be transgressing against God's will. And we see an example of that in the New Testament, 1 John 3, verse number 4. All right, very good. Anybody got anything different, extra? All right, question number 2. All right, Laura, how does, some sighs of relief.
No, it's not cider.
Well, not from you, other people. How does Adam and Eve's sin affect us?
Well, I put we now live in an imperfect world.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Did you have anything else, or is that, was that,
There's sin there.
okay, okay,
No God.
okay. All right, excellent. Any,
Said we all pay the consequence from that first sin. Things were set in motion for all time.
okay, okay, very good.
We have to work and serve God. So nothing is given to us. We have to work for it.
Okay,
And
that's,
we choose to serve God.
so it's about choices, right? I mean, that's, even prior to the fall, humanity was made with choices. You choose to eat of the forbidden fruit or not eat of it. So I just put it down in my notes here: wickedness entered into the world, struggle with temptation of sin, spiritual death,
Yeah.
and then physical death as well, right? Physical death entered into the world because of that.
So,
So when God said, you'll surely die, they did. It wasn't immediate, right? But it was a consequence later on. Good job, Laura. All right, if we can spin the wheel and we'll go to number 3.
Oh, it's one of them.
It's one of them. Is it Rachel?
No, I just hit my knuckle on the table. It's all right.
All right. Oh.
I do not like these questions.
Oh.
You'll
Oh.
do fine.
Yeah. And this is thought, so we can discuss it. So question 3 is, how does God's response to Cain's murder reveal his character?
Well, I put that he had compassion for Abel and was angered by Cain for killing him. That's what I put.
Okay,
Then
so- Okay. So, I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But what was God's response? Did anybody get anything
I
different?
said God
Yeah.
is just and stern and will
Okay.
not tolerate sin. He will bring judgment on the unrighteous.
I
Okay.
think he separated himself from them.
Okay.
Causing moral crisis.
I put
Okay.
that something different.
So you put, say that again?
So I said, by asking first, he gave Cain the chance to confess.
Okay.
And then he showed patience too. So he had a stern consequence, but he showed patience because
Okay.
it could have been much worse.
Okay. That's good. I think I heard that's.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So I said patience. I said he could have struck him down or had the ground swallow him up, but he showed kindness and even the mark on him to not kill him. But it also shows that he's just and there is punishment for sin. So I mean, these are things that God is always the same from then and today.
Very good. All right.
Well, I got this all messed up, because I didn't know you were talking about God's character, because you didn't put the big H in his. So I put Cain's character.
Ah,
That he was
okay.
a liar, and he was stuck in the eye syndrome.
Interesting. Interesting. So you interpreted it differently then. Ah, interesting. Interesting.
The H would have been
Yeah.
capitalized.
And there's great theological debate over, do we capitalize the H in I wrestle with that myself. All right. Personally, I prefer translations that don't capitalize the he and his, because I don't like translators telling me, it's kind of like them telling me who it is, whereas as the person should try to figure it out. But you looked at it from a different perspective. That's a,
Think of that, but when I
Yeah.
kept reading the question again, I was like, I think he wants God's character.
Yeah,
But
interesting.
I did struggle with that.
interesting.
Well, when I read it, I was thinking Cain wasn't murdered. But he was the one who did the murdering, so that's, I was thinking, I'm like, that maybe it was a typo or something, 'cause it's like he wasn't.
Well, yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
thinking.
Murder.
These are okay. It's a good thought. Just
Murder, I see where,
Right.
yeah.
these are. Don't overthink though.
Well, I'm sorry, but we've had two books where when
Yeah.
we didn't overthink,
Automatic now.
we were getting things wrong.
But we had this conversation earlier. That's great. That's great.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I wanna dig
That's
deeper.
that's good.
You're
That's
trying
good.
to dig deeper, and then when I dig deeper, you tell me, no, don't
And,
dig deeper.
and thought questions are more like discussion questions too, right? So that's yeah.
Well, I put that he loved Cain and he showed patience and sympathy in his
Yeah.
punishment.
Yeah. So
Because he asked for, it's too much for me.
so I included, prior to the murder, Cain murdering, God did warn Cain, didn't he? So that's in, he warned Adam and Eve. He warned Adam and Eve, don't eat or there's going to be consequences. And isn't there some application today? Like, aren't we warned? All right, don't sin, or so there's consequences for that. So I think that's a good characteristic of God, that He warns us. It's not like He's setting up traps for us. Okay, that was the first thing I thought of, and then I thought God was merciful to Cain, because he could have gotten rid of Cain right away. But he had a plan for Cain, right, to send Cain out, and so
And all kinds of bad things come from his lineage.
thinking about God just and severe and all that. What I was jotting down in my notes is here, in the New Testament book of Romans, it says, "Behold the goodness and severity of God," and that's exactly what we see going on here in Cain's life. All right, so question number 4, the thought question here is by default going to go to Chloe. She says no. Who gets it? Oh, Catherine, you get question 4.
Okay.
What things began through the lineage of Cain? What does this reveal about this line of people?
I put, tent dwellers, those that raise livestock, musicians, craftsmanship in metal, and people who wander. So, what does that say about them? That God gave them knowledge to do stuff and to create things.
Okay, so you have some.
You were looking
Cre-
at it from a positive perspective.
Well, you do see like skilled builders, right? They built cities.
Because
There was.
couldn't grow they couldn't take care of crops.
Well, you had a little bit of good and bad, right? So it's, skilled craftsmen, obviously, to be able to build a city. That's good. Musicians, right? You had Jubal played the harp and flute. That's pretty cool. How about polygamy? That's included in there.
What one?
Polygamy. That's the first polygamist.
And I included that, and I said that there was, they had sinful attitudes too, and knowing who some of these people are and their lineage, it strike later on too.
And you had craftsmen of bronze and iron, so, you know, those
Yeah,
people would,
idolatry.
well,
That's where
I-
I'm going.
Yeah, because that's
It says-
exactly why, because like the Edomites.
It
and-
says
and
they
things
were
came from
out
this.
from the presence of the Lord,
Mhm.
so then polygamy began. They had harps and flutes introduced, craftsmen in bronze and iron, so adding things to their worship. They had talked about, well, he's gonna do, you know, he said 17-fold, I'm gonna do 77-fold or whatever, somebody hurts me, I mean, it was like evil for
so,
evil.
so, and
So,
arrogance.
while all of this is going on out of the presence of the Lord, where Adam and family began to call on the name of the Lord. So that was like a contradiction between the two.
Contrast. you mean,
Contrast, yeah. A contrast between the two.
Yeah, I was jotting that little note. Out of the presence of the Lord. So they were forgetting God. Okay, and so they would also be violent people. You're going to have violence come through them. And then who did this contrast?
With Adam and family.
Yeah,
They
but-
began to call on the name of the
But
Lord.
who did they? Seth was their next son.
Yeah.
And then it was through that lineage where they began to call on the name of the Lord. So they sought God as opposed to Cain's descendants. So pretty big contrast there between the two. Did you get all that, Chloe? All right, very good. You spin the wheel and we'll see who gets question number 5. All right, Chuck. Explain God's warning to Cain.
If let anger lead you away from God, must be the master of anger.
All right. It's very good.
If you do not do well, sin lies at your door.
All right.
That's
And
from
So-
this.
I added that Cain's anger and jealousy were just temptations. The way that he did not deal with them properly led to the sin. So we can have the temptations even in our emotions, but if we deal with them wisely, we'll avoid sin, and if we don't, it will lead us to sin.
Yeah, so the temptation is not a sin in and of itself, right? I mean, if that were the case, then Jesus would have sinned when he was tempted by the devil, but that's not.
And we know that God got angry.
Yeah.
He didn't sin.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Well, and sin lies at each of our doors, but God says you need to rule over it.
Yeah, you need to control it. So that's what I put down in my notes. Control your anger, and I think that reminder to Cain was probably a good reminder to everybody, right? And then I like the way that it was described there, like a beast or like that lion crouching at your door, waiting to control you. Some people do let anger control them, right? They let their emotions control them. And it kind of reminds me of 1 Peter 5:8, the devil prowls around seeking whom he may devour. And I thought the two kind of went hand in hand there.
Say 1 Peter 5:8.
Yeah. All right, very good. Interesting questions. So if you're watching this online, make sure you read the 2 chapters, because we just do not have enough time to be able to read the chapters and then answer everything at one go. So
It's kind of ironic. I mean, we were studying about the Israelites for the longest time, but it's like God warned Adam and Eve, you know, don't eat or you surely will die. And then they didn't believe him and they did it anyway. So Cain is warned, you know, you better watch your, control yourself, and he saw what happened to his parents, and they got kicked out. You'd think he would know that God is capable of things like that, but then
well, you think
he
humanity
didn't heed God's warning.
you would think humanity today would heed
it's like
God's
it's-
warning.
You see a repeated cycle.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
So these were adult
It's-
children.
It's humans.
I
It's
really,
humans.
there's an
Yeah.
actual
Oh, yeah.
condition where people, they know that, like, let's say you're on a diet, you know you're not supposed to eat the food, but you're gonna eat it anyway. And you're willfully giving in to your, what's the word? I don't know, it just went in my head. Yeah, like you're strong-willed, but you deliberately, you say, I'm gonna be strong, I'm not gonna do it, and then you do it anyway.
People do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's one of those struggles we as humans, it'd be one of those things that entered into the world at the fall, you know,
And
that
people
struggle.
constantly question God. Like, God owes us no explanation as to
No.
why he said, don't do this and do this. It was just because he knew it was what was best for us, and we shouldn't have to question him because he loves us, and we should trust that. It's just like when your children are young, you shouldn't have to tell your children why you're telling them don't touch the hot stove. They should just know that mom and dad love me, and I'm going to do that because they don't want me to get hurt.
And for some reason, there's some
But they
kids.
touch the stove anyway.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Quickly after that.
All right, very good. So,
Great class.
well, hope you like it. Oh, I should read the conclusion here, right? The conclusion, these chapters are a history of the beginning of sin. Chapter 3, Adam and Eve's disobedience brings sin and death into the world. And it also serves, or severs, I should say, it severs the relationship between humans and God. And then chapter 4, obviously we read about the first murder in human history. Pretty sad. And then, but we do see that contrast between those that went out from the presence of the Lord versus those who were calling on the name of the Lord and worshipers of God. So that'll be really important to keep in mind. And keep in mind Lamech. Keep in mind Lamech. We'll talk a little bit more about him.
I just got to point out that Abel was the first person to get to go and be where we're all looking to go to be. Isn't that exciting for him? He didn't even have to deal with all the stuff that before sin was like really present and all that idolatry, he was already gone.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that God said, I hear him calling me.
Yeah.
Where is he?
And the book of Hebrews says his blood still calls out from the ground. He's still, and it's because of his example. And yeah. All right, very good. So we'll end class there unless we have one more thing from Chloe.
I was just gonna say, I find it interesting that the first death in the Bible is a murder.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad.
It's not a natural death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot of confusion around all that.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be that way.
Yeah, we're supposed to live forever.
Yeah.
There's a section, defending the faith about, could there have been any death before the fall? Fascinating.
Yeah, pretty interesting. All right, so it's 7 o'clock, time for us to end class, and then we'll hand out these sheets. Glenn, could I call on you to lead us in a prayer tonight?
Our great and kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you very much for this class. Thank you for Brian and his efforts to present this to us. May you bless the congregation, be with us all the things we're involved with. May that you be with all of our sick and watch over them. May that you be with us now, bring us back the next time. Please forgive us for our sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you.